What kind of person are you? Are you simple-minded? Do you hear things, put it all together, and just accept it as it's presented to you? Or are you a logical, reasonable person that when you hear something, you want as much proof and evidence and information as you can get so that you can meditate, reason on it, and come up with a logical conclusion? Or are you a person that's usually reasonable and logical, but emotions can get in the way and confuse you a little bit? For example, say you're a waitress and these two ladies come in and one of them's just nasty, just mean for no reason. So you're pretty mad, you just want them to go, you think they're trash. And the other lady takes you aside and she says, I apologize for my friend. She just found out, her boyfriend's cheating on her. Well, the empathetic side of you feels bad for her and you just, oh, I understand, I get it. And your anger's, maybe even not all of it, but most of your anger kind of washes away. Let's take another situation. Say the other friend takes you aside and says, she's just had a loss. She lost her baby. Well, now you're nothing but empathy. This woman's just hurting and in pain and just lashing out, and you just feel nothing but sorry for this lady that you were so angry at a moment ago. Well, that's human. That's human nature, to have sympathy and empathy for people in bad situations. But let's say they come back 6 months later, same thing happens. Your empathy's going to be a little bit dried up, not as much as last time. Say a year later, same thing happens. Or say you go back to your staff and go, oh, this poor lady, she's just hurting so bad. And then your colleagues say, wait a minute, I remember that lady. She does that every time she's in here. Or maybe you hear, well, that loss was 20 years ago. Now you realize this lady's just nasty. Because a lot of people have loss. A lot of people have bad things happen, but they don't all get so bitter and mean and nasty and turn on someone who's innocent. Now we come back to John Yates. By his words, he had a terrible childhood. We do know certain tragedies did happen. No doubt they were painful. No doubt he is traumatized for life on some of those things. I'm not going to take any of that away. I also know he's a liar. So some of these things may or may not have happened, but we do know he did lose his mother at a very young age, and that's traumatic. However, he's 43. The things that he does to people now, over and over and over again, have nothing to do with his mama dying. You don't get to be nasty and say, oh, it's because of my mama. No, it doesn't work like that. Everybody has some form of childhood trauma. Everybody. Some bad, some not so bad. But there's a lot of people out there who've suffered much worse than John Yates did. But when you start using your pain as an excuse for your bad behavior, especially when you're well in your 40s, it is time for people to stop making excuses for you. It is time for people to stop enabling you. When you can't go a day without getting foamy drunk, something's wrong and you need help. Now, these people around John that claim to love him, what do they do for him to prove their love? When you love someone, you want them to be okay. You want them to be healthy and happy. You don't sit there and encourage bad behavior that is life-threatening. The level of drunk this man gets is life-threatening. You don't excuse it by saying, oh, his mama killed herself when he was just a little boy. He can't help it. Help this man you claim to love. Now, my point today is about this situation. I'm going to call her Natalie because I don't believe in Jackson. This situation with Natalie. Now, if you're a simple-minded person, and he comes to you and says, oh, look, in this message, she said it's a gift. And you run off happy and say, oh, see, he's right. And don't think about it no more. That's not right. Well, let's think about this. When it was first presented to him, hey, you took this lady's money. Now, a side point, taking that sum of money from a woman who is in the hospital is wrong. You don't know what kind of medicine she's on. You don't know what's wrong with her. I don't think in a court of law you can reasonably say, hey, she gave me this money willingly if she was in the hospital. But that's a side point. And then he shows, later, he was fussing at her. You're throwing this in my face, Natalie. You told me it was a gift, Natalie. And then she feels bad. Oh, our friendship. Oh, I hope you hold our friendship dear like I do. And then she says, oh, it was a gift. Well, we didn't see the beginning of that conversation. We didn't see what she said to him. We only see him fussing at her and her buckling. Well, you know what? A lot of women, and something ain't right with this woman. It ain't normal to go around paying all these people on YouTube all this money and sending them gifts. That ain't normal. This woman is apparently lonely. This woman ain't got no sense. So she is exactly the kind of woman that you can bully a little bit, and when she feels like she's losing your friendship that means something to her, she's gonna back down whether she feels it or not. Maybe in her heart she's like, I made a mistake, I shouldn't have given you that. Or maybe she gave him money for one purpose and sees him run around spending it in other ways. Or realizes he ain't never gonna stop asking for more, no matter how much she gives him. We saw the receipts. What did Vault say? Something like $31,000. I haven't totaled it myself, but I also know during that time, Natalie was giving super chat after super chat on every live that man did. So the real amount's probably much more than $31,000. But back to my original point. My point was, when Vault first confronted him about this money, what did he do, y'all?
I'm not afraid of Kathy or a federal judge because
What?
I have the proof right here on my phone. Like, I'm not lying. I'm not lying.
We can call the police.
He denied, and raged.
Want to explain where you got $31,200?
Excuse me?
Do you want to explain where you got $31,200?
I never got $31,000 in my life, but
November
you
1st.
seem to know,
How
so
much
you explain it for
November
everybody
1st.
else.
How much did you get? November 1st.
No, Vault, you tell us.
No, November 1st, you got $1,000. November 2nd, you got $20,000. Back to back, November 1st and November 2nd, you got November 1st, you got 1,000. November 2nd, you got 20,000. Plus, she paid for your tires.
So she sent me $20,000, huh?
Yeah.
Is this what you want, Kathy?
Keep doxing her, fucker.
He had so much foam in his mouth, it was no longer foam. It took on a whole new entity. It was some kind of paste or some silicone. I don't know what that was, in the corners of his mouth and on the middle of his lip and sometimes dripping down. How does he not feel that? Why do his hags not say, yo, John, wipe your mouth, it's nasty? Because they're afraid to make him mad, that's why. Or maybe they like seeing it. Maybe they're watching this freak show and encouraging it because in their hearts, they like this stuff. But either way, he raged, and what'd he do? His typical blackmail.
And Kathy, I'm going to show one text right now because I know you're talking to Maria. And I don't want anybody to think I'm a liar about your federal judge.
The interesting part about this is that absolutely nobody was saying we don't believe you that he beat her. Nobody. So why is he saying I gotta clear this up so nobody thinks I'm lying? The whole point was about the money that she gave him. This is just a deflection and a reason to introduce this blackmail. Well, I have texts that your husband abuses you. Your federal judge beats you. And I have the proof. I have so many messages, but I'm going to share one. Well, you know what? That one didn't say that he beat on her. That message he sent proved nothing, but maybe they had a fight and she was upset. She didn't say he hit me. She didn't say he beats me. There weren't pictures of scars of bruises. That was nothing but blackmail. He wanted to scare her so she didn't release them receipts, because in that moment he was still sitting there denying that he'd taken that money. He was acting like that was crazy. He was saying, oh, you can't Zelle that much. Exactly when someone posted, you can't send that much in Zelle. He really thought his point was proven when he was sitting there knowing that money was wired to him. He knew it all along, and so did Jody.
That's just one text I have. So if you want to keep pumping this, I'll show the rest. That's just one of many.
Then in between the threats to show the receipts and the receipts actually being posted, he starts to get nervous. So what's he do? He knows she done said $20,000. That's already been put out there. So he devises a little scheme.
That's what it is.
She gave $20,000 to Jeffrey. In his case,
On the books, yeah. Yep, for his
do
commissary.
you still want to love Jeffrey?
For his commissary, absolutely.
She gave Jeffrey a whole lot of money.
She gave Jeffrey $20,000. But did you catch that little look he shoots Cody? Hey, Chody, I'm about to tell a lie. Back me up.
$20,000 to Jeffrey. In his case,
But then, as usual, Chody messes it up. He always gets the script messed up. John said gave it to him in his case, so it should have gone to his lawyers, right? But stupid Chody chimes in, yeah, she put it on the books. She put it on his commissary. On his commissary. That's not what John said. John said his case. His case means his lawyers, his legal case. Chody gets every script wrong.
That's what it is.
So did he put this out there to distract people? So if $20,000 came up
to
on a
Jeffrey.
receipt, he could say that didn't go to me.
in his case,
That went to Jeffrey.
Yeah.
He didn't expect
Yep,
the
for
wire
his
transfer to
commissary.
have his name all over
Jeffrey.
it. And then,
For his
what does he say when it's
commissary,
she
revealed?
gave Jeffrey a whole lot of money.
Oh, I know. No, she told me everything. She bought Vira plane tickets. She sent Jeffrey money to help him on his appeal.
$1,000.
$1,000. I mean, did you know that, Greg? 1,000.
This is from the live where he owns up to receiving $20,000 from Natalie. Now, suddenly, he's telling the truth about how much she actually gave Jeffrey. And notice he says, for his case. There was no money ever put on his commissary by her. And you can bet John is the one who got her to do that money in the first place. And now back to his night of lies and denials. Then when that wasn't working, what'd he resort to?
Aww.
Oh, well, come
And
knock
I
on
have
the
your
door.
phone number and where you live and everything, but I never said anything about anybody to everything else.
You did.
How's your son doing, Vault? Like, how's he doing, Vault? How's he
How
doing?
is he doing?
How's he doing, Vault?
He's doing just fine, better than you.
With a mother
he
like
is-
you, how's your son doing, Vault?
Oh, you're really
He'll
scared.
be on my
You know why,
panel
John?
tomorrow for
You
the
know
block
why?
party.
You know why, John?
He'll
You
be
know
on
why
my
you're
block
so
party tomorrow, not your son, Vault. And
Oh yeah, okay.
yeah.
You know why,
Like,
John? You're so mad.
terrible mom. You're a terrible mom.
$31,200.
So don't come up.
Hey, Vault, where's your son? Now, I don't want to disclose what happened with her son, but it's very, very sad. It's not the kind of thing you bring up in public on a public YouTube with hundreds of people watching. This woman told what she thought was her friends something very terrible in her life. And she did so thinking that she was in a safe place, that these people cared about her. Did you hear what Chody said?
Remember when you were backstage
that.
saying how you were a terrible mother and like what happened to your son?
Not what I
that I have
said.
it taped
That
on
is
my
not
phone.
what I said.
And we have it taped, Vault.
Jody said, I have it recorded on my phone. Now, y'all, do you record your friends' conversations? If they're spilling some traumatic, horrible situation, especially involving minor children, do you hit record? Do you store that on your phone? Is that something normal people do? And what's the purpose of that? The only purpose that could serve is exactly what they were using it for that night. Blackmail. They didn't want her to go ahead and post those receipts, so they hit as low as they possibly can. The one little bit of information they had on her that was what they thought enough to shut her up, they start threatening. They start threatening, and they mean it. Now, a simple-minded person might sit there and think tit for tat. If she's going to expose something about him, he has a right to expose something about her. But a logical, reasonable, intelligent, and emotionally intelligent person knows that you don't talk about someone's child. You just don't do that, especially on a public forum where that kid could hear it. That's disgusting. I want to say healing vibes to Vault and her boy, and I'm so sorry this happened. And it was put out there in the manner in which it was put out there. From all my heart, I'm sorry this all happened to you. And I also want to say I'm proud of her for sticking to her guns and getting this out there, in spite of the threats and the blackmail. Because this man, as long as he's able to use these threats and blackmail, which for years he's been able to do, he's going to go on. But when women who are strong enough to call his bluff stand up to him, they take that power out of his hands. I tell you what, if I had ever been close to John Yates and told him any kind of secret, I would run as far from him as I could. Because this man, his sole purpose for listening to your secrets are to record and store and keep for a later evil use. So all you women out there who still think he's your friend, who still think you can trust him, who still confide in him, simple-minded. And this little handful of women that were sitting there encouraging him, watching this nastiness unfold, hearing the things he was saying, they didn't have a word to say to him. They were sending their little struggle $1.99 super chats. John, we love you. What? While he spoke the way he spoke on a minor, troubled child. Oh, John, we love you. Here's $1.99. It's all I can afford. And even though I see this lady who gave you over $31,000 be torn up and doxxed and all sorts of evil said about her, my little $1.99 is going to win your love and your loyalty, and you'll never do this to me. Simple-minded. Ladies, he's been doing this for years. He's had hags long before they were called hags. Women he'd cried to and said everybody's so mean to me, and my daddy beat me, and my daddy raped me, and my mama took herself out when I was just a little boy. Come to find out, he had left his mother by his choice, begged to leave his mother for 3 years before she died. That's not a story he ever told before. He didn't even live with her, barely saw her. Begged his grandmother to take him away. These are his own words, people. He went off and lived with his great-grandma, then his grandma was spoiled his whole life. Got a big chunk of money when he came of age. Got a good education. Why are we feeling sorry for this man? I bet these women sending $1.99 super chats and confessing their love for him, I bet they have some trauma. I bet they had some tough times. I bet they still are having tough times. Why do they feel sorry for this man? This man was taking money, gifts, loans, one after the other, and we saw him all during this time. It's documented where he was, what he was doing. He was spending her money like water. On what? What does he have to show? A pickled liver? Him and Shody both? Through it all, they always had enough money for cigarettes. They always had enough money for wine. Add that all up, that's a car note. They could have been paying that car note all along, but they took that money instead and bought liquor and cigarettes and bad health. If I give them a low estimate of a pack a day for each, which we've seen him go through a pack just by itself in one life, and this is the price of wine on that liquor store that showed up on his debit card, where we saw him spend $150 in 4 days. But let's give him a lower estimate of 1 box every other day. A pack a day each and a box of wine every other day. Look what that comes out to. Total, at a low estimate, of over $925 a month. Do y'all feel silly now, sending him money to pay a car note on a 2016 car that should be paid off? Jody's even older, what's that, 2012? How in the world can he still owe money on such an old car? And yet, spending close, it's probably more, these are low estimates, $1,000 a month to get sick. Now they want to cry, oh, Chody's dying. Chody needs to quit drinking. Chody needs to quit smoking. Chody needs to quit eating canned pea meatloaf. The living situation these men are in is of their own doing. Nothing that's wrong in their lives now has to do with any childhood trauma. That's long over. You can go get help easily. You can get it for free. He don't want help. He likes being mean and nasty and awful and making money from doing it. He likes to take money from women that inside he actually hates, and he's sitting there storing up information to use against them later. That's the lifestyle he wants. He wants people to know who he is. He don't care if it's a good way or a bad way, as long as people are talking to him. Talking about him, I mean. He likes to foam and rage because that gets him views and that gets him money. He wouldn't know what to do if people stopped talking about him. I mean, look at him. He starts a content live, which he claims that's what he wants to do. And suddenly, when he sees 70-something people are watching, nobody cares. What's he do? Goes into a rage. Pretty soon, hundreds of people are in there watching. Now he's got them videos put right on back up. Why? It's a few days to payday. He's got to make that money, because you know he ain't done that Instacart like he's saying he does. He maybe go out a couple times a week. Well, now he needs to make sure he gets a YouTube paycheck. So them videos popping right back up, so he can collect some money off of his nasty, raging, foaming self. Who's going to support that? People who are simple-minded. Logical, reasonable, intelligent, emotionally intelligent people. See what he's doing and know it's wrong. It's unnatural. It's despicable. But when you're simple-minded, it's like watching Jerry Springer. Oh, ain't this exciting? Who hates who now, right now? Who's going to reveal something awful about somebody else? He's got so few people commenting. So few people having any kind of interaction. What do you think all them watching people are? People who are disgusted by his behavior and watch it. Some of us, we want to record it so we can keep it for posterity to show what this man is. Others just like it, like watching a boxing match or something. But the point is, he shows up with these receipts, saying it's a gift. That does not take away from the fact that he denied it and blackmailed and attempted to blackmail in order to get it shut up. When it finally was released, you did get that money, sir. Then what? Then he admits it, but he's got all these explanations and twists on what happened. That does not take away from the fact that he sat there lying to y'all, denying he took that money in the first place. Are you simple-minded? Do you think it's okay because he came up with a receipt and said it's a gift? Or are you intelligent, logical, reasonable, and say, hey, he denied it. He's a liar. When he says, oh, your federal judge husband beats you, are you simple-minded? Do you sit there and go, oh, juicy gossip. Her husband beats her. Or are you an emotionally intelligent person that thinks that's a horrible thing to do to a woman who just gave you $31,000 plus? When the woman exposing him gets threatened that he's going to say something that happened to her minor child, are you simple-minded? Do you say, oh, I want to hear this story. This sounds good. Or are you an emotionally intelligent person that says no one should speak on a minor child's pain? Do you say, oh, he cries about his childhood trauma, but he can throw another child's trauma around as a means of blackmail? Were you sitting there wanting to hear all the juicy details about this little boy? Are you simple-minded? Or were you sitting there disgusted and feeling sorry for her and her little boy and thinking this man needs to be in jail because you're an emotionally intelligent, logical, reasonable person? Can you see? He wants to use his childhood trauma as an excuse for all his bad behavior, but he's going to take another child's trauma and use it as a weapon against his mother? Disgusting. Despicable. Unimaginable. Inhumane. His little show of receipts proved nothing except that he took a large amount of money from a woman when she was in the hospital. Someone who thought he was her friend, someone she had confided in. And then he lied, and he lied, and he lied, until he got caught. He tried to stop the proof from coming out by using blackmail, and running her down and spilling her secrets. And then the messenger, he wanted to ruin her by spilling her secrets that they have stored and recorded. Not just on John's phone, but Jody's phone, you heard him. Then it's released. He can't lie no more. He didn't come on and say, sorry I lied, did he? Nope. Didn't admit he lied. Just came up with all kinds of excuses, all manner of ugliness, still saying, oh, this woman's husband beat her. Over and over again, oh, I got the proof, this is only a fraction, I have it all, I'm going to release it all. That's disgusting. Especially from a man we know beat Jody, we saw it. Then we got Maria Wasser, whatever her name is, in the chat, enabling him, supporting him. Why you do that, Maria? You seem to know better. Why do you support that? That's disgusting. You're a mother of a boy. How would you feel? I hope you've told him some deep, dark secrets, because one day this will be your turn and you will deserve it. You and Julie both. This man cannot keep a friend. Danielle is the only reason he ever got started on the show in the first place. She and Big Red Beth did their little interviews with him, and from there, it did open the way for some other cast members. What did he do to Danielle? The things he said about that woman. Unforgivable. Ashley took him to events. He got to meet other people on TV. He got all dressed up. He loves to say, we walked red carpets together. What did he do to her? All she said was he's messy. That's all she said. What did he say about her? Disgusting. Unforgivable stuff. Every friend we've watched him make along this way, he has used and abused, and in the end, turned on them and exposed them. Basically, all that's left is Monica, Julie, and Maria. But what are your odds, the three of you? You know he has stuff on all of you. You should be very, very worried, because not one friend that he's held on to from the beginning is still his friend. Angela's kind of a new friend. The most hated woman on the franchise right now. People calling to get her fired. They don't want to see her on their TVs no more. She's his level of filth. That's why they're friends. But just wait till that one blows, and you know it will. When she gets tired of him, when she stops babying him and buying him things, that's going to end too. When she stops providing him with opportunities to go live from her house, give him a little clout. That's going to go bad too, because it always does. Home Depot Jen was his top hag before hags were hags. Took him in her home. Paid bills for him. Got the boot taken off his car. How many things did that woman do for him? Fought people mercilessly on the internet. Had whole Instagram accounts devoted to taking down his haters. What ended up with her? He beats Cody in her home and then runs off and turns her into the devil. She kind of is the devil. I mean, everything she did for him was disgusting as well. But that doesn't take away from the point that this woman did so much for him. And look what she got in the end. Because that's the way friendship with John Yates ends. Natalie found out the hard way. There was already lots of proof. People tried to warn her. People tried to tell her she didn't listen. Tens of thousands of dollars later, she gets Home Depot Jen treatment. Because that's what happens to John Yates' friends. So, what kind of person are you? Are you simple-minded? Or are you emotionally intelligent enough to see this man for what he is?